All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. What's up, muscle car people? This is Bring It Muscle Cars, and I'm Matt. Today we have Alex and his 2001 Corvette Z06. We're gonna do a review. All right, Alex, when did you get this car?
I purchased this back in the end of January this year.
Now, did you have a performance car before that?
I had a BRZ before that, and I honestly really enjoyed that car.
Yeah. It's a lot more car than a BRZ, I would say.
Absolutely.
Now, what steered you towards the Corvette?
Honestly, this car has been one of my dream cars. I've always been a fan of the Corvette and the V8s, and I've always wanted to own one. And I've been watching the prices for a long time and just saw just how attainable they're getting in price.
Right.
And I just watched the market carefully. I watched this one in particular on the market for a couple months actually, and just kept following it, watched the price drop a little bit by little bit, and saw the right opportunity to go check it out.
Was red the color you always wanted, or were you willing to take any color?
I was willing to take any color.
Yeah.
Red was actually at the bottom of my list. Really? Yeah, I'm usually a black and gray and just dark colored kind of car.
I like the red in Corvettes, but I'm the same way. I like red, I just don't want red for myself, you know, if possible. All right, so you bought this car, you were looking at this car for a while. Why were you looking at this car? Like, what are your goals? What were you trying to accomplish with the car?
So I wanted to get back into autocross. Last year was my first year back in autocross after about a 6-year hiatus, and I wanted to, get a little bit more serious in it again. And the BRZ was fine, but it wasn't quite enough. It was great on the autocross course, but just all around it wasn't everything I wanted. It was too new. It still had a warranty. I didn't want to modify it at all. I wanted to keep that warranty, and I was like, this is no way to enjoy a car.
Right.
So I wanted to get into an older car again.
Yeah. Now, this one in particular, you bought with a lot of mods already done.
Yeah.
So one of the big mods is the suspension, right? Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about the suspension that it has on it.
So it has a Penske coilover suspension. It wasn't originally coilover. Actually, it was just the Penske shocks. And I ended up doing the coilover conversion just because you lose a little bit of weight doing that, losing the leaf springs, and the tunability is just a little bit better. And although the leaf springs handle really, really well, you can just gain a little bit more traction out of having a coilover setup.
Nice. Now, that was a pretty big job though, wasn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah. People think it's coilover, it's going to be bolt-on, but it's never as simple as they make it seem, is it?
Nope, not at all.
No. But that's a huge step, especially for what you're going to do.
Yes.
So not many people, at least local, are going to be running a suspension shocks like that. What about, I see that you have 2 different sets of wheels on here. So what's up with the 2 different wheels?
So the 2 different wheels, I chose these wheels from 2 different wheel sets. In the Corvette world, a lot of guys trying to squeeze out all the performance they can on the track. Right. They like to go with a square setup with rear wheels because it's the best offset and width ratio. So you have a nice even, it's an 18 by 10.5 on all 4 corners.
Okay. That's a pretty big wheel, especially up front. That's a big wheel.
Yeah.
So again, with that in the coilovers, you're way ahead of the game. You're going to have some nice grip out there. You're going to be able to put some fast times down. Now, any modifications to the motor?
The motor is bone stock.
Yeah, that's the great thing about these. Which LS does this one have?
This has an LS6.
LS6. So about how much horsepower do they make?
This one was the first of the Z06s, so this was actually 385.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I mean, for a car that's, what, 3,500 pounds, if that?
3,100.
Whew!
Yeah.
That's even better then. So, I mean, that's plenty of power, and it's going to be reliable. You don't have to worry about anything breaking or anything. So that's a smart way to stay, at least with autocross, that's a good way to stay. So now, I see you have a roll cage in there. and then some other goodies. Let's talk about what's inside there.
So that's actually part of the reason what drew me to this car in the first place. I saw that the owner of this car, obviously they tracked the car, they had a little bit of performance in mind with it, and they did all of the safety measures and handling measures before engine modifications and anything else. So I could tell that they had a nice progression in the path of what they've done to this car. I know some Corvettes and some V8 cars, people like to go all engine first, throw a choppy cam in there, do a lot of motor mods, and that kills the reliability. But this guy went safety and handling first, and that kind of let me trust the car a little bit better.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Fire suppression system.
Right. So tell us a little bit about that. I see that there's a handle and everything, and how does that work?
So I guess some tracks require that you run that for certain events, and the fire suppression system has a fire extinguisher centered in the car, and it has a release pin, and when you pull that release pin, there's actually a piping system that travels along the center tunnel, and it'll spray both the passenger and the driver's side.
Jeez, that's pretty neat. I don't know if I've seen any other car locally that has that. I mean, some drag cars, they gotta be pretty fast to have something like that. Well, that's pretty neat. And then I see some switches on the dash. What are those for?
So the switches on the dash, there's one switch that is for the transcooler. So when you're doing a lap day and you're doing like long sessions, 20-30 minute sessions, and you're doing hard laps, the trans can heat up, and you want to manage that temperature. So it has a transcooler that you run while you're on the track. The other switch was on there because the previous owner had a camera system set up in there. A little bit of an old school system before GoPros, and that button no longer does anything. Okay.
And then you were talking about the pedals earlier. So you upgraded the pedals?
Yes, so the stock C5 Corvette pedals are awful. I'll straight up say they are awful. They are not a good design at all, especially if your feet get a little bit wet, you slip off of them, there's no grip, you can't really heel toe. So I put a new pedal set on there that has much grippier, wider pedals. It brings the gas pedal much closer to the brake, so you can actually do a proper heel toe going into corners.
That's the thing, it's a 19-year-old car, I guess, right?
Yes.
And some things just get better over time. Pedals get better, that kind of stuff. The suspension gets better. But, man, it's a 19-year-old car, and it still looks this good. It's amazing. Man, it makes me want one. Every time I see one of these, I want one. I put a big ass Pro Charger on it. That's just me, but yeah, a different steering wheel too.
Yeah.
So that came with it, I take it?
That also came with it.
That's a pretty nice setup. It's a Momo, right?
Yep, it's a very comfortable grip. It's a very good size. I think the overall diameter is slightly smaller than what was on there before. Yeah. But it's a quick release design. It's actually got some spacers that brings it closer to the driver, so it has a really good ergonomic setup for the whole cockpit.
Nice. Now, we were talking earlier, you did some other mods since you bought it, some other bushings and stuff. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so while we did the Penske coilover revalve and conversion, we took all the control arms off, and we put in fresh polyurethane bushings everywhere. We put fresh ball joints on all four corners and upgraded the ball joints to greasable ones so they can last a little bit longer.
Nice.
So the whole suspension package is new and better than it was from the factory.
Right. Now, do you have any plans to do anything else this year or long-term goals with the car?
With the car, the only thing I really want to do to it is get a better driver's seat for the car.
Yeah.
I want something with a little bit, stronger side bolstering. I want a fixed back seat that fits me a little bit better than the stock seats.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just little ergonomic things like that.
Yeah.
Just dialing in the car.
And then just race, and get more seat time.
Yeah.
For your second car into autocross, you've made a great choice in my opinion. Now I'm not an expert. You could have got a Lotus like over there. I'm just saying, but but overall, I mean, to go right to a car like that, you're going to be able to race this for years and get really good at it. You're not going to have to keep doing a lot of work to it. It's a great way to go. Now, comparing this car to a C6, what is your opinion on the pop-up headlights?
Aesthetic-wise, I have a soft spot for pop-up headlights.
Right.
I really love pop-up headlights, and I think that the overall appearance of the C5 I like better than the C6.
It's definitely, you can tell that they're both Corvettes, obviously. They look very similar. It's definitely a different feeling car because you have the pop-up and then the fixed roof coupe instead of the hatchback. And if you want to see a hatchback Corvette, check out the video. I'll link it down here of Raph and Justin's car. So, but to me, they're two different feeling cars. So, but I like these, and they still, it's older, but it still feels very modern.
It's a very timeless design.
Yeah.
I'm just glad to finally own, this is my first American car I've ever owned. I'm glad to finally join a V8 American car scene, and so far I'm really liking it.
The thing is, once you get that American V8, that power, it's hard to go back the other way.
Absolutely. To make a good track car, a car like this, you don't need to focus really on the engine too much at all at the start. You can focus on just the chassis, whereas some people, they have to do the chassis and the engine at the same time.
And that's what makes the Corvette such a great car, because it's out of the box. You have a very solid engine, and the chassis is so good. If you have a Camaro or a Mustang, like, you have to do so much to get it just to handle at this stock level, you know? And it's a big difference. Well, I really appreciate you coming. If you have any questions for Alex, hit us up down below in the comments. Do you have an Instagram or anything you want me to tag?
It's just at Alex Pankey.
Nice. All right. I imagine you post a lot of pictures of the car and stuff.
I will be soon.
All right. And if you like this video, hit that like button. There's lots more car reviews coming, so you should hit that subscribe button, and you should smash that notification bell so you don't miss any of the awesome updates, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you got a fast car like Alex, you better bring it. Thanks for watching.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching this video. I'm going to link a couple more videos that if you like this one and you made it all the way to the end, you're going to definitely like these. So watch them. Also, that middle button right there, I think is probably, you know, somewhere in there. Hit that button to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more action.